Right. We are back. Another Matchmaker Monday is upon us today. You know how it is. Three fights, three breakdowns, three predictions. Fight number one, the Shig Show. I feel like Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong is actually a pretty good scrap. And I haven't seen anyone calling for this. I haven't seen anyone talk about this. I haven't really seen much about it. You have Peter Yan there. He's kind of like floating in the number one contender fight, probably next for the winner of Sanhagen versus Marab, especially if it's Marab, which it probably will be. He's kind of like looming there, so he's kind of like not asserted the number contender spot. But if anybody's going to be next, it's Peter Yan, and we all want Peter Yan as champ because if Peter Yan becomes champ by the end of the year, like the UFC is just perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. Corey Sandhagen or Peter Yan, the UFC is perfect. I couldn't ask for any more, to be honest. Well, apart from Pereira being champ, but apart from that, Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong, I think makes a load of sense. A, I think this is a fight Sean will win, and B, I feel like this is kind of like a do or die for O'Malley in regards like if you can't beat a Song Yadong, then I'm just like you really aren't at the top. You got a controversial win over Peter Yan. You got a fucking brilliant win over Aljamain Sterling. But apart from that, you haven't done anything. And I feel like I've been talking about Sean O'Malley for so long, and I picked him to beat Merab in the first fight. I picked Merab to beat him in the second fight. Obviously, I picked him to beat Cheeto. That was a no fight. Apart from that, Sean's not really done anything. Am I the only one that kind of feels that? You got a good win against, Aljamain Sterling. You got a very dodgy win against Peter Yan. Aljo never fought a bantamweight again. So there's so many things I need to see. And I feel like Song Yadong is the perfect test because he's not the best in the division. He's not even a top five fighter. So if Song Yadong beats you, you're not even a top five fighter. He's kind of lost like the upper echelon to the division. Like I know he beat Henry Cejudo, technically kind of. Henry kind of quit in that fight. I don't know him in that in a bad way, but he just did. Just a fact, he couldn't see out of his eye and he said, I can't see. So we stopped for good or worse. He could have got, seriously brutally KO'd and that was the end of his career. So you don't really know. Um, you lose to Peter Yan, you lose to Corey Sandhagen. You were winning the fight against Cejudo though. That's the thing, and I'm pretty sure I picked Cejudo to beat him. I actually can't remember that though, but off the top of my head, I feel like I would have picked Cejudo to win that fight. So it's not like Song Yadong is an incredible fighter. Like he's a good fighter, but I feel like I've been saying the same thing about Song Yadong for the past few years. He's a future champion, but he never kicking into gear. He never seems to be improving. He never seems to. Yeah, fair enough. He took the first round off Yan. Who doesn't take the first round off Yan? Yan in a 3 rounder is such a dangerous fight for himself. Just for himself. 5 rounds, I'm confident of Yan against anybody bar Marab. I feel like, he probably. I even pick him to beat Uma. No, I wouldn't actually. I wouldn't do that. But Yan across 5 rounds is pretty much a problem for. He's a problem for Umar as well. Like Yan might be Umar with the grappling. He's gotten so much better. And for Song Yadong, he's kind of like a B Tech version of. It's kind of hard to see. He's got good wrestling and decent striking, but he's not that good anywhere else. Sorry, not that good in that area anywhere else. Like there is fucking anywhere else. He's not that good in that area. Like he's decent and he's good, but he's not. He's not the striking of Peter Yan. He doesn't have the wrestling of a Marab or an Umar. He doesn't even have the striking of an Umar. Do you know what I'm saying? So Song Yadong is just like I'd say Song Yadong is a proper B plus. He's a B plus fighter. There's nothing wrong with being a B plus fighter because that's quite good. But you beat Chris Gutierrez, you beat Ricky Simon, you lose to Corey Sandhagen, you lose to Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips is a bit of a dog, so I let that one slide. But for O'Malley as well, you've got very good striking, but your grappling is so far behind. Your grappling is so far behind. Like you're nowhere near the level of grappling Marab, which I wouldn't even like. Man, Marab doesn't even have that good of grappling. He's just very consistent with it. He's very consistent with pressuring you. He's very consistent with trying to get you down. And Marab never really controls people on the ground apart from O'Malley. He just doesn't. He just fucking doesn't. And I feel like Sean's grappling is really far behind compared to the rest of these guys. Like, I feel like in a 5 rounder right now, Peter Yan would beat him. I feel like Umar would definitely beat him. Corey, I always said would beat him. I always said Corey Sandhagen would beat him. I said that for fucking years, and I've said this on this channel multiple times. So I feel like those blokes would be. So their matchups I would like to see. I would have loved to have seen Corey versus Sean now, but we don't. That fight's just never going to happen really at this point, is it? Like that fight's just it's just like a Tony Khabib. Like that's the fight fans want to see. That's the fight we all care about. But Corey's got his title shot, so I'm kind of happy for him there. I'm a big Corey Sandhagen fan, so seeing him get the belt would be fucking sweet. But Sean really needs to just. I don't even know. Like I feel like he's at that stage of his career. How much better can you get with your grappling at this stage, compared to the rest of these guys who've been doing it the whole life? You're clearly one of the best strikers, if not you're the best. I wouldn't even say Jan's probably a better striker than O'Malley. He probably is. You're one of the best strikers in the division, let's say. That's obviously your strength, but that's only going to get you so far. And when you fought a wrestler, you kind of got exposed to having very little grappling, against a forward pressure wrestler like Merab. I would love to, Jan is not a wrestler, and he had very good moments with you on the ground. Yes, you were able to get up some takedowns. Yes, you were able to stand there with Jan, but you didn't win the fight. You didn't win the fight. And I don't think Sean O'Malley's ever going to get another title shot. I feel like Song Yadong is a perfect test to see where he's at mentally as well. What do you even do with O'Malley? Because I don't think you put him on a fight night. I really don't. So do you put him on a big, co-main event in December? Not necessarily mad at that. O'Malley, you can kind of do what you want with O'Malley on a pay-per-view. You can put him kind of anywhere on the main card. As a co-main event, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that because he brings a certain value. Now, his stardom is definitely gone. When you lose to Merab twice in a row and you got submitted, really does bad things to that name that you were. I remember 2 years ago. It was like 2 years ago, a few days ago, when you knocked out Sterling. I remember that was like the next big star. Anyone else remember that? He was just the next big star. He was going to be fucking the next Connor. The Nelt boys were behind him. All that, and just he knocked out Sterling. Then he beat the shit out of fucking Cheeto. It would have been nice to see him finish Cheeto, of course, but that's extremely hard thing to do. So then the Sphere. That was the moment. That was the moment O'Malley had. He should have chinned Merab there and then, but he didn't. But listen, I'd probably pick Sean O'Malley in this one, but I would be confident. So next up, Sean Brady versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. And this is a very fucking interesting fight because we have the number one contender in Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is he hasn't got sidelined, but Islam Makhachev definitely leapfrogged him, rightfully so. But you would definitely have to play the argument there that, like, Shavkat never lost his position. He cemented it as the number one contender. So I'm more than that. I think Shavkat Rakhmonov should be the next in line for JDM versus Makhachev. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see this fight next. From my perspective, I want to see Shavkat versus Islam. Okay, that's my dream fight in the division at the moment. That's my dream fight in the UFC. Once Tom versus John was gone, I started looking at other options. JDM Makhachev was up there, but I think Makhachev versus Shavkat is just an absolute banger fight. Banger fight. Like, it's next level shit, okay? Look at my neck. Oh. It's just a cracker of a fight, okay? And I feel like the way Shavkat, he was never booked with Bilal the second time. That's what people like kind of get confused here. When JDM versus Bilal got announced, Shavkat Rakhmonov was never booked to fight Bilal Muhammad. He never pulled out of a fight. He just was injured at the time of the offering. He's not the one who pulled out of the original fight against Bilal. Bilal pulled out, and Shavkat still fought Ian Gary on short notice. How do you take away that guy's title shot? How do you take that away? I don't know. But I feel like the UFC are going to play some sort of a card of where Shavkat's been out too long, and Brady beat Leon as well. You have to remember that. So that's kind of where I'm getting this fucking thing of this fight's going to happen, because Brady submitted Leon on short notice, who was a number one contender, compared to Shavkat, who beat Ian Gary. Saying it like that now doesn't do Shavkat any favors, but that's the reality of the situation. You beat Ian in a boring fight. Because if we're going to say it how it is here, that was a boring fight, okay? That was a great card, though. I remember, the Kaiskiro one, but where was I? The reason I don't think that's going to happen is because Brady has kind of put his foot in the mix now, put his foot in the door. And I feel like that's kind of disrupting Shavkat's flow here of, I've cemented myself as a number one contender. Let me just see how this, Makhachev versus JDM fight plays out. Let me just see what happens. And I'm going to fight the winner. JDM obviously hasn't done enough to earn an immediate rematch. Holy fucking shit, though. Could you imagine Shavkat versus Makhachev? How big that would be. How crazy of a fight that would be. Like, that's my dream fight. And the fact is, we're one fight away from getting it. Potentially. Okay, but we'll go back to the original thing here of, so Shavkat beat Ian Gary, which really cemented his number one contender fight. But then he kind of was injured. He never pulled out, but he was injured, so JDM had to step in and fight Bilal. Sean Brady stepped in as well. And, JDM took the belt while Sean Brady took the number one contender out, which is Leon Edwards. Does that mean Shavkat Rakhmonov gets leapfrogged by Sean Brady? I still say no, but I feel like the UFC are going to be like, hold on a minute, you've been out for a while, you were injured, the division's moved, you're no longer the clear number one contender now, we have Brady here. Brady said Ian Gary turned him down. I don't believe that at all. I don't think Ian Gary would turn down anyone, if I'm being honest. As much as he's a cook, and he's annoying, and he's this, that, and the fourth, he doesn't turn down fights. He just doesn't. Okay, so let's get that clear. He doesn't turn down fights. Yeah, so he said he fucking Ian Gary didn't accept the fight, which I don't believe. He wants to fight. Sean Brady wants to fight. Sean Brady would easily take out Shavkat Rakhmonov. Or sorry, not take out Shavkat, hold on. He would easily sign to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov. Could Sean Brady sit there and say, I deserve my title shot? Potentially. You can make that argument. You can make the argument that Sean Brady has done enough to sit there and say, yeah, I beat the number one contender and finished the on short notice in his backyard. I deserve this. Compared to Shavkat, who just beat Ian Gary and was injured. So you're at a crossroads here. You're in a crossroads here. And in fact, this fight, Makhachev versus JDM is in November. We're definitely not going to see it this year. So is Shavkat willing to wait a whole year? I don't know. Why not book this for the end of the year? Why not book this? You know what I mean? As much as I'm sitting here saying I think Shavkat has earned his number one contender fight, what if Brady fights Ian Gary? Let's say that fight happens at the end of the year and he beats Ian Gary. Then you sure as fuck have lost your number one contender fight. Because especially if he does it better than Shavkat did, you've lost it. You've lost your number one contender fight. Now, Ian Gary, no matter what he does, won't get Shavkat's number one contender. Because Shavkat beat him. So that's just, it doesn't matter what Ian Gary does. It does not matter, okay? He literally got sniped by Carlos Prates in the last round, looked like a down Fortnite character after putting on a class performance in a masterclass 4 rounds. But Ian Gary's another one, actually. He might be next, actually, in the third fight. Now that you mention it, third matchup, I should say. But Brady versus Shavkat, stylistically, Brady's such a good wrestler, man. Like, he is scary good on the ground. Kelvin Gastelum kind of showed us that, and then the Leon Edwards fight really woke us up. Fucking hurts, man, to see Leon lose, especially get submitted. I was so fucking pissed, because you all know Leon Edwards is my favorite fighter. Most of you probably don't even know that, but still. And when he got submitted, I was just like frustrated. I was pissed, and I was just like, "What is my hair doing?" There we go. I was just like, "What is he doing?" When he shot on him as well, I was like, "Fuck, are you doing, mate?" But the whole thing was a shit show. The whole thing was a shit show. He's fighting Carlos Prates now, so my boy is back. But still, Shavkat's going to move forward a lot. And I haven't seen Shavkat, get taken down and controlled. So I'd be picking Shavkat. I haven't seen him getting taken down and controlled. Not to say Brady can't, because Brady's definitely got the best grappling in the division. I feel like Brady's so slept on. I feel like Brady's just forgotten about. Because you have the Makhachev versus JDM there. You could even do Brady versus Bilal. You could do Bilal versus Shavkat. I remember that was rumoured for a while, but nothing ever happened there. But there's so many matchups that you can make. There's so many matchups. But I feel like this is definitely the number one contender fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, this makes the most sense out of all of it. And Shavkat's going to move forward. Shavkat's going to get in Brady's face. He's definitely the better striker. He's not going to shoot, but Brady will shoot. If Shavkat stuffs it, Brady's completely fucked. Brady's fucked beyond belief. He's got good range, Shavkat, but I like the way. I feel like what would really cement this one is Bilal broke and made Sean Brady quit with forward pressure. And that's not me hating. He said that in multiple interviews. Shavkat Rakhmonov is extremely good forward pressure and get in your face. He used a lot of the clinch against Ian Gary. I heard like he broke his arm or some shit, or he had like a massive injury going into that fight or something. I don't really know. But that's something to consider as well. That's something to consider. You have to consider shit like this. You have to consider it. But the forward pressure of Shavkat's going to give Brady a lot of problems. But Bilal gave him a lot of problems with it. I can see Shavkat getting him a lot of problems with it. Okay, he's got good hands. He's got quick hands. Very interesting. I would have loved to have seen Shavkat versus a pure grappler before he fought Sean Brady, because you're going swimming with sharks in your first swimming lesson. You know what I mean? I haven't seen it with Shavkat. I haven't seen, these heavy wrestlers fight him. As much as I can sit here and say I haven't seen it, so I'm not betting on it, there is that case of I haven't seen it, so it could happen. That's also a case here. Let's not forget about that. But I'd be going Shavkat Rakhmonov via decision on that one. I feel like it would probably be a main event or a co-main event of a pay-per-view. It would be 5 rounds anyway, so I pick Shavkat on that one. But last but not least, I was only twisting your balls. I'm not talking about Ian Gary. Brendan Allen versus Robert Whittaker. This is a very interesting fight that I've kind of talked about a little bit. I kind of mix and match kind of things. I talk about one matchup, a few weeks ago I had Brendan Allen on there against, I think it was Anthony Hernandez or something, and Anthony Hernandez gets booked. We switch it around. That's kind of how I work this series. Or if I feel like a matchup makes a bit more sense now with the way the landscape of the division, I kind of go with it. Robert Whittaker versus Brendan Allen. Both of them, Whittaker seems to just. Whittaker is extremely similar to Dustin Poirier. Am I the only one that thinks that? I feel like they're both extremely similar fighters, and it hurts to see Robert Whittaker lose every single time, or any single time seeing Robert Whittaker lose. It hurts because he's fucking great, mate. He's a great guy. I fucking like him. I fucking look him. As Cervelex is fucking getting even worse. That wasn't too bad, but Whittaker just really the last like 2 years kind of struggled with the top end of the division. The fucking Reign of the Ritters, the Dricus du Plessis, the Hamza Shemaevs. He kind of struggled to get wins over them. Now, I feel like Brendan Allen is a textbook person for Whittaker to win and dismantle, which is a kind of like a heavy grappler with no gas tank. Now, having said that, he did go the full distance with Marvin Vettori, who's got a great gas tank, but Whittaker absolutely bitched Vettori. Now, that was like 3 years ago or some shit like that, so you can't really make too much of an assumption about that. But, Whittaker's so hot and cold, so up and down, so hit and miss. And it's just hard to bet on him. It's really hard to bet on Robert Whittaker now. And I wish I could, bro. I really wish I could. Now, Brendan Allen did surprise me in the Vettori fight. Well, not even surprise me. I thought he was going to make it a little bit more decisive, but it was a fucking war. It was an absolute banger. I love that fight. He spent, what was it, like 4 minutes inside control against Sebastian Nimavov and still gassed out in the second round. Now, the whole French commission thing was a little bit dodgy there. I like Brendan Allen. I feel like he's entertaining. He's entertaining on the mic. He's entertaining in the cage. He's good guy. I like him. I fucking like him. Now, I don't know what accent's this, but it's going to fucking keep going with it, mate. How this fight would go, I think Whittaker would be too much on the striking. Way too much on the striking. Way, way, way too much on the striking. I feel like he'd be able to just, maneuver his way around. I feel like he'd be able to find his range. I feel like this would be quite similar to the Marvin Vettori fight, or even like a Jared Cannonier. I feel like that could be similar. Brendan Allen definitely isn't one of the. I felt like I had such faith in Brendan Allen there because he was going on like a bit of a finish spree on the way up, and I remember thinking, I honestly thought he was a bit like Moicano, because I thought Moicano was dangerous as fuck on the ground, which he is, but I remember thinking like Moicano's fucking beast on the ground. Like this is like fucking 3 years ago. Like I remember thinking like this guy's the real deal on the ground, and I thought that about Brendan Allen for a while. Then I saw you go to like a dodgy decision with Chris Curtis and stuff like that, and I'm just like, all right, maybe you're not the real deal. Maybe you're not the real deal, which is kind of shit because I do like Brendan Allen, but I feel like Whittaker's way too much of an offensive threat for him to get really caught bending on the feet. I think he's too smart. I think his forward movement's quite good, Whittaker, and I feel like he might even finish Brendan Allen here, because I feel like when Brendan Allen gasses out later on, I feel like he'd be able to just find the range. It's sad to see Whittaker be like 8th in the world, which it just doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me because I've seen Whitaker for years and years and years just being at the top end of the division, but he's kind of just dipped off now and he's not the same Robert Whitaker anymore, which is kind of shit because I really like Rob. But that's all for this week's Matchmaker Monday. I hope you enjoyed. I love making these videos. I'm going to make a video on the Roy Val fight tomorrow. Then I'm going to make a full breakdown for the Paris card. And hopefully Dana White's going to drop me with some bombshell news. But thanks for watching.